Nothing really to talk about today, so I'm going to break down a meme on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I am the Associate Broker and Residential Sales Manager of ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 161. And it is very dark in here. It is very dark in here because it's overcast and raining outside. And so we all know what I'm going to say at the end of this video, right? So, but I'm trying to record, so I cranked up all the lights a little bit more, probably washing out the color saturation and everything like that. But I'm not one of those guys who worries about the color saturation of my video. Right. And the funny thing is, Omar on the other side of the wall here, he's been recording and getting started on the recording thing. And now the very fact I said color saturation, it's going to pop into his mind when he's trying to record later today. Because that's just the kind of asshole I am. So, anyways, what do we got going on? I got no national news really to speak about this week. It's, I looked, didn't find anything that was too shocking or interesting. But I do have some social media stuff I want to talk about. So let's get the numbers out of the way first, right? So we're looking at the numbers right now for March 7th, 2024. All right. Actives this week are 16,426, up 207 from the previous week. Our new listings are 2,392, up 337. Our contracts were 2,562, up 68. Closings last week were 2,053. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 767 new listings, which is also not a bad plane. The 767 actually might have been the last decent plane Boeing built before wings started falling off and whatnot. But for comfort report numbers, our supply is at 68.1. Our demand is at 79.3, leaving us a comfort report number of 116.4. Still technically in a seller's market, but it did drop down just a little bit. Although our supply and our demand did go up. All right. Supply went up a little bit faster than the demand, and so that's why we see that little decrease going over there on the comfort report number. Breaking it down into the cities, and this is always fun. Chandler's still at the top of the pack at 203.8, up 7% from last month. Gilbert, standing pat, 179.6, no change. And then Fountain Hills still at number 4, still dropping down a little bit. Mesa's still coming up, 18%. So are those two going to trade places? Probably not next week, but we could see that happen in a couple weeks here. Our biggest loser so far, I would have to say, is Goodyear. Goodyear is all the way down. They're 15% under what they were this time last month. This time last month, they're at 97.1. Now they're at 82.7. So definitely a big shift on them on that. If you're looking at selling out there, I think you just missed the boat. But if you're looking to buy, that would be the area I'd look at. That in Maricopa and Buckeye and Queen Creek. These 4 areas are your buyer's markets right now. Balanced market is Surprise, Paradise Valley, Cave Creek, Peoria. Well, not Peoria. So only Cave Creek, Paradise Valley, and Surprise are what we consider a balanced market. And everything else is a seller market with, of course, Chandler leading the extremes. So I had a talk with a lender earlier this week, and we were trying to discuss, question I always ask, where are the rates, where are they going? Nobody knows anymore. There was a really great video that a lender shared that I cannot share because although I do check the little box saying that this video is not for children, so occasionally I can use my full range of my vocabulary, this video definitely is not safe for work. And it was, but it was a good example of lenders and everything. And it was basically the Fed going, I don't give about these guys, and I don't give it about, and oh, by the way, buyers, I don't care. It would have been bleeped out. It would have been just one steady beep, like somebody just flatlined in the ER if we tried to, if I tried to share that with you. So yeah, what I'm going to talk about, so I might add this into a regular routine in my constant quest for content, which sometimes I literally don't think of until the light comes on, and then I just start talking. But, sometimes I see something that it's like, oh, I want to talk about this on Thursday. And this one comes from a listener, viewer, who's very deeply related to me. like he's my father, okay? And he posted this the other day, and I was like, did he just post this to give me something to talk about? And if he did, Dad, thanks, all right? If you did it just by accident because you just wanted to rant, nice to know where I got it from. All right, this is a post that he posted, and he posted this on Facebook. And this looks like a Reddit, something along those lines. But Clump of Cheese writes, my parents bought their house in 1992 for $200,000. It is now worth like $1.2 million. I make more than they did back then, and I can't buy a house, but rent is more than their mortgage was. And then Translania. Okay, I'm going to say that in Spanish. Transiana. Okay. You have summarized the millennial struggle in 2 sentences. Okay, so let's treat this like one of those story questions they used to have you do in math. All right, where you basically had to translate Bobby's leaving the store at 3:45 with 7 bags of apples if he crosses the street at 15 miles an hour, exactly which bus hit him heading from the south direction. You know, remember those questions? So we break these down. Let's look at the numbers. Our facts. We have a house that was purchased in 1992 for $200,000. Current value, 1.2. All right. Poster, all right, makes more money than his parents did back then. All right, I'm not going to address the rent thing because it's really hard to get rent numbers for 1992. All right, but so Poster is making more money than his parents did in 1992. So 2024 numbers or 2023 numbers. All right, and he can't hit. Their house is now worth 1.2. You all see where I'm going on this? So this, of course, sent me down the rabbit hole of research. I really should have found a job where I could just do nothing but research. Like, I always wanted to be that guy at the CIA who just sort of sat there and went in my little cube, and all I had to do was study one little portion of the world, like Uganda, and know everything about Uganda. And then one day I'd get a call, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it'd be, this is Deputy Director Smuckatelli. We need you to meet us at the White House. You have to brief the president on Uganda. And then for 3.5 minutes, I would shine giving my presentation, and then they completely ignore what I said, and I just leave the room. So, honestly, a lot like what I do now, except I'd be a GS11. All right, so let's break it down to 1992. All right, first thing we have to do is we have to adjust for inflation. All right, so 1992, $200,000 had a different purchasing power than it does today. Adjusted for inflation, that amounts is equivalent to approximately $437,271.56 in today's dollars. All right, so that's the first step. You have to adjust for inflation when you start looking at these things, right? $200,000 house, okay, is a completely different price-wise, right? Inflation. So if we were just looking at inflation, if that house did not appreciate at all, it should be a $437,000 house. The poster says it's worth $1 million. And having done some research, I found some properties. All right, I looked for properties in my local area that were built in 1992, and I tried to find one that cost $200,000. The closest I could find was this one right here. All right, this one was built in 1992. It is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath with a pool. It is, you know what? Problem with turning down that so I don't get the glare is I can't actually read the screen. Right? It's a 3,000 square foot house. It has a private pool. It has some encoded features on there which you actually have to be an old real estate agent to read, all right? But it says that it's a 2-car garage with 2 slab parking in front. All right. So that house sold in 1992 for $174,765. It is currently listed on the market in Scottsdale at $1.5 million. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go for $1.5 million, but we'll see what happens, right? But that's sort of comparative, okay? We found a house actually worth less than $200,000, okay, which is actually currently being listed for more than $1.2. That is correct. But let's look and see what happens if we had no appreciation whatsoever, okay? Or if we used only inflation, if houses appreciate only at the cost, right? Now, I used that $437,000. All right, which would be $200,000 in 1992 is now $437,000. And I went looking, same areas, and I found a house. This house was listed for $425,000. Remember that in your head, $425,000. All right. That house in 1992, brand new, sold for $75,000. All right. So, and honestly, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, community pool, and for the HOA and everything like that, that's a starter home, right? It's only 1,500 square feet. So the other house is almost literally double, all right, than what that is. Make sense? So what we're trying to do in this meme check right now is we're just trying to verify the facts, all right? So yeah, first fact, kid, if your parents you lived in Scottsdale, bought that house for $174,000, it's now worth, 1.5 if it sells at that price. Meme check correct, right? But let's break this down, because this is where we go down the rabbit hole. This is where we have fun. This is where I came up with this slide. All right. This is where the rubber meets the road, and we actually start really realizing how screwed those kids are. Okay. A starter home, $425,000 starter home in 2024. All right. This one, I started looking at median household income. Remember, we don't go with average, we go with median. Average will always skew high because of the 1%ers. All right. But a median household income, 50% of all households are below it, 50% of all households are above it. All right. In 1992 was $30,000. Nice round number. All right. If you take that $75,000 starter home that they could have bought with their $30,000 household income, that would have been 2.5 times their household income. Make sense? You got the math on that? All right. Today, the median household income, right, is $74,202. All right. So 50% below, 50% above, $74,000 is the median household income. All right. And in that case, you're buying a $425,000 starter home, right? And that one is 5.7 times your household income, right? For effectively the same house if we just look at it like that, all right? More than double, all right? So yeah, Poster's got a gripe, right? Poster's got a very valid gripe. Other thing I put down here just to let you know, and this is a lot of people don't understand, inflation adjusted, right? In the same $1992 brought to today, like we were talking about, they would have been making $64,464.33, right? As opposed to today. So we've actually gained $10,000 in household income, median. That shows that everybody is making more, all right? Because we're adjusting for inflation and everything like that. Does it feel like it? Yeah, probably not. But look at what we have today that we didn't have in 1992. Like cell phones. It'd be sort of cool to go back to without cell phones. People had to like page you or something like that, or just wait for you to return their call. Would it be worth getting rid of the cell phone not to get those stupid texts from, randos? Like one of my latest texts today. Hi, can you help me search for properties in the Phoenix area? Sorry for the delay. Hi, Ray, I work with every healthcare provider in your state. I mean, half of these things are vendors, Working America, quick poll. So, that being said, the reason why I just got hiccuped right there is because, of course, one of my clients just texted me and whatnot on the side, and I suddenly started reading that. Next thing I'm talking about trucks in my head. So, looking at this, does the first-time home buyer have a problem? Okay, I would really like to talk to the original poster on this, and saying if your parents were buying a $174,000 house in 1992, that wasn't their first rodeo, if that makes sense. That was probably the house that they bought to the point when they started needing more space. All right. So it's not traditionally a starter home. And so you don't know when they bought that $174,000, $200,000 house, how much they put down, and did they put anything down from a previous purchase, selling it. All right, that's that escalator I'm constantly talking about. All right, so I would ask my parents that question. It's like, did you own? Was this your first home? All right, first home you're putting that much down? Okay, that's incredible. All right, because hey, I can do the math right now. Let's go back to that for a second. This is something I should have done. So we're looking at $174,000. Okay, remember how I did this chart here over here on the starter homes? All right, let me grab the calculator real quick. All right, if your median household income is $30,000, how 107? Let's call it 175 to make my math easier. 175,000. Actually, let's go with the original posters. 200,000. All right, parents' home, 200,000 divided by 30,000. All right, that's 6.6. All right, they bought a house that was over 6 times median household income. Congratulations, your parents were rich. So, anyways, what does this mean to you, the first-time home buyer? That means the first-time home buyer, you still need to save up money. All right, I still encourage everybody to realize that this is not your forever home. All right, this is your starter home. You're planning out the rest of your life. You're not going to get the 5.3 with the swimming pool right off the bat unless somehow you graduated college without debt and you had the income coming in because you became a doctor or a lawyer or phlebotomist or whatever the hell makes that kind of money. Definitely not real estate agents. And work it out from there. That, at least on the two numbers of houses that I used, that was that's a North Scottsdale house, by the way. The one for 1.5, this one at the top. That was never starter home community. This one right here is starter home community. This is right up the street of me. Just if you guys are local to the neighborhood, this house is actually located off of 7th Street just south of the 101. All right. Nice little pocket up there if you guys are looking for starter homes in the 400s without having to drive all the way in from Goodyear and whatnot. So they're out there, right? But what really is going to screw you up and continue to screw you up right now is the interest rates are too damn high. And everybody's talking about maybe bringing that down. Now, getting a little bit of news, Peter Zahan had a show earlier this week where he talked about all the countries around us that are slipping into a recession or already in a recession. But surprisingly, we're not in a declared recession right now, which is why we can afford not to lower interest rates to try to get out of the recession. We're still worried about that inflation thing, which is what the Fed's looking at right now. And I don't think tracking that is going to do anything but make you crazy. So if you're looking to purchase, all right, what you need to do is you need to save your money up, buy the best you can get right now at today's interest rates, knowing that you can buy down the rate in closing. All right, 2-1 buy down, 1-0 buy down. We've covered this in previous shows before. Getting a little bit of pay up to get a lower interest rate to make that first year's payments better and easier to deal with. Right, and then refinancing out as soon as we figure out what's going to go on with everything else and the rates do come down, because right now they're sort of right about 7. All right, so there's a lot of way to get it, but it's an escalator. You do not get to get that house. All right, 1992. My folks are still in the same house they lived in 1992. In fact, I think he moved into like 83, 84. All right. So if you bought that house in 1992 as your starter home, all right, with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, decided that was going to fit your lifestyle, you would have had that thing paid off last year if you never refinanced it. Year before, 2022, you would have had that house paid off. You would be living mortgage free, right? And you would have an asset worth $425,000. And I don't know what the interest rates were back there. Can't really work out the calculations on what 70. Yeah, what am I saying? I'm in real estate. I got all the apps right now. Let's figure this one out. This is going to be now. If you notice these two numbers over here, this is the amount that they put down. I just kept in there. So they put 10% down on that purchase. These guys put what is it, about 3.5, 2.5? Yeah. Let's figure this out. I'm going to borrow $72,000. All right. And let's say 92. Okay, I know the 50-year rolling average for interest rates have always been about 7%. So I'm going to put that in as a 7% interest rate. All right. $72,000 at 7% over a 30-year. How much would that be? That'd be a $479 interest or payment. All right. So 1992, $479 a month mortgage, rounded up to maybe $550 for taxes, insurance. If they had bought that place in 1992, they would have been paying $550 for the last 30 plus years. All right. And now they have their house free and clear. And the funny thing is, if you had looked at them in 2020, when they almost had that loan paid off, and said, hey, how would you like to refinance your home, take all your equity out? Your mortgage rate's only going to be $1,700 a month, almost tripling, right? They would have laughed in your face and ran you out of town. So that is ultimately the one really cool thing about buying a house. All right, be really interesting to be able to sit there and say, hey, what was our rents back then? What was it comparable to rent that place back then? And how much has that gone up since? These guys were paying $550 since 1992. All right, $550 by 1992, not a bad deal, not too shabby. So, all right, and that's all I got for that one. Sorry, it's so discombobulated and everything like that. The rain sort of screwed me up, and we had some deliveries going on and everything else. But so you know the routine, I want you to watch your kids and pets around water. All right. Even if the pool's not filled, by the way, because, a good 8-foot drop on the hard concrete will still screw you up. All right. It's raining. I don't know how long this is going to take, but don't drive into anything flooded, especially if there's the do not drive into flooded signs, right? Work your circles. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys all later.